But we begin with that breaking news. A suspect is now in custody after a gunman opened fire at the University of Virginia.
Investigation into the brutal murders of those 4 University of Idaho students.
We crossed the 3-week mark since 4 students at the University of Idaho were murdered in their own home. And tonight, there are new developments. Today,
I think that's terrifying, especially as a college student, because, we believe that by being adults that we can act like adults. And, when we're students and we're supposed to be on a campus, especially for those who are away from home, they come here and they have to have that belief that they feel safe. I'm not a parent, but I think all of us one day probably want to experience that. However, that also does come with the fear of, if I send my child off to school, whether it be, kindergarten, first grade, elementary, middle school, high school, and now even on a college level, how do we guarantee their safety? Because that has to be a terrifying thought.
It feels so familiar, yet you've never experienced it firsthand, but it's like an impending doom, I would say. But then, unfortunately, the other reaction that you have is kind of just like okay, cool. When's the next one, almost? Because it's so common that you get a little bit desensitized. So it's unfortunate that you have those 2 reactions, but I would say that those were my reactions. They're very stark, but I definitely feel both of them with an intensity and a sincerity. We have a lot of resources, so the fact that we have them is good. I just think that we should use them more, and we should really put more effort. But the fact that we have them at all is very, very good. And also the university does a very good job of sharing that it has these safety measures, with polls or with campus PDs.
By treating one another with kindness and being fair, I think that really makes a huge difference in safety, because when you don't have those feelings of anger or disappointment, I think that really helps. However, overall campus safety, I think that also needs to be advertised very large about the resources that students have, because I think that's a big thing that probably a lot of students don't realize, is how many different types of resources we have.